Like I said, Stephen A. Smith was on the PBD podcast, and they had some things to say. Voting Democrat for 200 years is the title. How LBJ made Black Americans dependent on the government. It made me want to do research, y'all. And I think we all, especially in the black household, African American diaspora, we need to start doing some learning outside of school. They talking about things that it's just not taught in school. There's no way we would be able to find this stuff out. And I think that's the biggest thing that is holding us back in life, period. You know, even politically and all this stuff, which is why we're voting Democrat for years and years now, is because we don't know better. We don't know anything but this is how you need to vote. Ain't did no research for ourselves on policies, history. Let's be real. Don't even really know the history of it. Just voting just cause. That's how we vote. And they had a great conversation on that. Patrick, Bet David, and Stephen A. Smith on this topic. So I said, yeah, let me bring this up in the morning. Let me bring this up in the morning and see how they moving. Let's go ahead and get this rolling.
I think things are so different today because okay, let's go back to, you've talked about this before, and I'll just kind of ask you, I think it's good for the audience if you want to go through it. 1960, 64% of African Americans would vote Democrat.
Yes, sir.
The rest was conservative.
Yes, sir.
Let's put liberal and conservative. That's a better way of saying it, right?
Okay.
64 liberal, 36 conservative. 1964, 4 years later, 92% blacks are voting Democrat.
Yeah. Lyndon B. Johnson's civil rights legislation.
So what happened there? Maybe give a little bit of the history of Goldwater, Lyndon Johnson, what he did.
JFK's assassinated. Lyndon B. Johnson's in office. Republicans and Democrats, back in the day, Dixiecrats, bipartisanly bring a bill to the desk of Lyndon B. Johnson. He signed civil rights legislation into law. According to whatever reports you believe, Lyndon B. Johnson says, we bring this legislation, we sign this legislation into law, we'll have the Negroes voting for us for the next 50 years.
Dang. Did they make it to 50? Did they make it to 50?
Sure enough, that's what it was.
See?
And I think me personally, as I've edified myself over the years to see what's been transpiring in our community, on one hand, when I look at legislation and I think about affirmative action and other things, and I see how I've benefited because opportunities were given to me at a particular moment in time in the 80s, for example, when, that some would say may not have been given to me if I were not an African American or you didn't have affirmative action in a place and what have you. When you hear those things, you're trying to lean left because you're saying they're thinking about us, and like you said, those messengers from the Democratic Party are very profound. You've got Jimmy Carter in office, but the economy was so bad, so Reagan had to get him out of there. But you got Reagan in office from 80 to 88. You're looking at what transpired in his administration, good or bad, depending on how you think about it. But if you're not educated, what are you thinking? Did he care about black people? You're actually asking those questions if you're coming from the black community and you're not reading all the time. You're not educating yourself because you're literally trying to survive. And when that happens, ultimately it becomes habit. Your mama voted Democrat, your dad voted Democrat, your big sister, big brother voted Democrat. How could you think about voting any other way? And all of a sudden, those habits kick in, and then you get older and older, and you start seeing how it profoundly affects your life as an individual, and you're like, wait a minute. Like, for example, for me, when we go back to 2016, 2020, Hillary was somebody that I would not have mind seeing in office. In 2020, I can tell you right now, I would have voted for Kasich. In 2016, I would have voted for Kasich. I would have voted for Chris Christie. I would have voted definitely for those guys. And there's a plethora. I would have voted for Nikki Haley. If Nikki Haley was running right now instead of Donald Trump, she would be getting my vote over the Democrats. I wouldn't hesitate. Because no matter what you think about those folks, they show you they know how to be an adult in the room. That's a far cry from where I was 15, 20 years ago. It would have been Democrat all day, every day. I don't think like that now. And and honestly speaking, I don't think anybody should. I don't think it's right to have any party affiliation with today's politics, because I don't think you can trust either side. I think you got to watch what they do, see what they do, and see what policies work best for you. And Mark Levin once said this to me, along with Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. He said, hey, man, most people vote their issues. They're not looking at, you can bring up immigration, the economy, all
right.
Whatever issue is most near and dear to them, that's what they focus on. So you got a black community right now that'll look at Joe Biden. You know what they'll say right now? Well, Barack Obama gave about $330 million to HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities. Trump comes in there, he gives about 360 8 years later. Barack Obama did that in 2010. Trump did that in 2018, about 360 million. But now look what Biden and Biden administration has done. They've dedicated over $7 billion. For some folks, that's enough. Not for me, not for others, but for some folks, that's enough. And it's about finding that one issue. Because why? How did they learn? And this is why I can fault the politicians just as much as I can fault the voter. Because folks got that way because the politicians got them that way. Because you go into their community, you go into their respective communities, and you give that song and dance and that lip service about that one issue they cared most about. That's what you wanted. That's what you trained the voter to be like. And in most instances now, it's coming back to bite you.
May I?
Yes.
I want to.
Yeah, see, Stephen A. just broke that down. I think he broke it down pretty good. He's well educated. He can speak. So it kind of came out to me. Something that I would feel. It came out as something I would feel. The first thing I got from that, though, the first feeling I got is that he's done his research. It's a lot of things they say, y'all, that I specifically do not know or just don't. It wasn't important to me at all in high school or when I learned it. It wasn't really what I was on. So when it comes to voting and knowing political history and all those things, I'm not well versed. Like I said, it's something that I'm learning just now. At 25, about to be 26. It's something that we have to educate ourselves on. It's something that we have to want to be educated on. It's something that we need to do our research on, because it just shows, I'm sure it applies with everyone else. It applies to all of us. The only thing that we knew was to vote Democrat. That's all you know. The history behind both parties don't really know. All I've been taught is, well, this is what you vote because this side is racist. This side is the one that we vote for. And it seems like when it comes to civil rights, just, from the history, bipartisan. That means it comes to the table together. It's pushed through together. Both sides. So if we just giving the Democrats, everything for that's not it. That's really not what it was. Especially beforehand, it seemed like more of us were conservative than liberal, just before the bill was passed. And then we gave all the credit to one side and said, well, we're Democrat now, y'all. And this is what we gonna do. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. You ain't even got to learn nothing. All you need to know. All you need to know. This is all you need to know. Yeah, he said a lot of things. Hold on, let's rewind that. He definitely said a lot. Let me see right here.
Administration, good or bad, depending on how you think about it. But if you're not educated, what are you thinking?
Look, there you go.
From 80 to 88, you're looking at what transpired in his administration, good or bad, depending on how you think about it. But if you're not educated, what are you thinking?
Exactly. See, that's my thing. We're not educated to really think anything except this is what it is. That's all I know is this is what it is.
Did he care about black people? You're actually asking those questions
That's
if
what I'm
you're
saying.
coming from the black community.
I would not know.
And you're not reading all the time. You're not educating yourself because you're literally trying to survive. And
it can be,
when that happens, ultimately it becomes habit. Your mama voted Democrat, your dad voted Democrat, your big sister, big brother voted Democrat. How could you think about voting any other way? And all of a sudden, those habits kick in.
How? It does not go anywhere. That's I'm saying. I've been voting Democrat for the past whatever so elections just because. I can't tell you why. I know why. Because that's what we do. We vote Democrat. So I can tell you that's literally why. I haven't done any research, didn't have an opinion of my own at all.
And then you get older and older and you start seeing how it profoundly affects your life as an individual. And you're like, wait a minute. Like, for example, for me, when we go back to 2016, 2020, Hillary was somebody that I would not have mind seeing in office. In 2020, I can tell you right now, I would have voted for Kasich. In 2016, I would have voted for Kasich. I would have voted for Chris Christie. I would have voted definitely for those guys. And there's a plethora. I would have voted for Nikki Haley. If Nikki Haley was running right now instead of Donald Trump, she would be getting my vote over the Democrats. I wouldn't hesitate. Because no matter what you think about those folks, they show you they know how to be an adult in the room. That's a far cry from where I was 15, 20 years ago. It would have been Democrat all day, every day.
All day, every day.
I don't think like that now.
Why?
I don't think like that.
That's just what it is. We trying to elevate, y'all. We trying to elevate. So when you actually start elevating, you start looking around. You start looking around the room like, hold on. Why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? Am I really Democrat in myself, or am I just doing it just cause?
That now, and I don't, and honestly speaking, I don't think anybody should. I don't think it's right to have any party affiliation with today's politics
at all,
because I don't think you can trust either side. I think you got to watch what they do, see what they do, and see what policies work best for you. And Mark Levin once said this to me.
To me, that's a big thing for me. What are you gonna do for the black community? Other than give us a handout, other than say we'll give you this, but you have to be below this number, you know. As a community, that's like, all right, you have to stay down, and if you want this welfare check, you know, you need to stay in the struggle if you want this extra $500 a month. Who want to do that? What you gonna do to help the black community elevate financially? From poor to middle class. Like we trying to go from poor to middle class, from middle class to upper class. You feel me? We're not trying to stay the same. So what are you doing to actually help us other than giving us a handout if we stay poor? That's my biggest thing. What are you doing to help us? So I want to go to each side. Now I'm looking at each side. Well, I've seen what the Democrats done did. What the Republicans gonna do? Oh, this the play they running. I might like that more. Hold on, why have I been voting Democrat all this time then? What's going on? Oh, because I've been told to and I didn't do no research. I'm just blindly out here. And I'm telling you, this is how people my age feel. This is what people my age are realizing. I mean, some of them, you know, they probably was doing their work, you know. They probably was doing their work. But I know for me and the people around me, if I ask them, hey, bro, why you voting Democrat? Hey, bro, that's what we vote. Okay. That lets me know I need to do some research and education, because that just doesn't make sense to just do something just because. No reason at all.
Along with Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, he said, hey, man, most people vote their issues. They're not looking at you. You can bring up
Sure.
immigration, the economy, all
Right.
Whatever issue is most near and dear to them, that's what they focus on. So you got a black community right now that'll look at Joe Biden. You know what they'll say right now? Well, Barack Obama gave about $330 million to HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities. Trump comes in there, he gives about 360 8 years later. Barack Obama did that in 2010. Trump did that in 2018, about 360 million. But now look what Biden and the Biden administration has done. They've dedicated over $7 billion.
I hope they
for some folks.
I hope they do right by that
enough.
money, y'all. I really hope they do right by that money and don't be scamming folks out their refund checks. They need to make sure they put it in the infrastructure for sure. Because them folks be going through it at them HBCUs in them dorm rooms that look trash, toe down, ain't got no door on them. Do right by them now. Stop charging them so much for that education. Especially if they getting a grasshopper breeding degree. You need to. I hope they use that money right. It's a lot of scandals that's going on. They've been taking folks' money. At least do something with that to help them folks out for real. Not just give them an education at that HBCU. I went to a PWI, so I ain't gonna see none of that money. It's okay though. Y'all gave. If it is a good cause, I'll be okay with that. But you sure did not pay off my student loans. And I can be mad about that.
Not for me, not for others, but for some folks, that's enough. And it's about finding that one issue. Because why? How did they learn? Then this is why I can fault the politicians just as much as I can fault the voter. Because folks got that way because the politicians got them that way. Because you go into their community, you go into their respective communities, and you give that song and dance and that lip service about that one issue they cared most about.
Build the
That's
wall.
what you wanted. That's what you trained the voter to be like. And in most instances now, it's coming back to bite you.
May I?
I'm telling you, that's what happened to me, y'all. That's what happened to me with my student loan forgiveness. It was preached. I'm telling you. That's probably the first time I felt like I was like, yeah, I'm about to be debt free. I'm about to, get my student loans up out of here. And I voted for that one thing. Dang, Stephen A., you trying to talk? You talking about me? You talking about me? That's exactly what happened, man. They spoke that lip service and they couldn't hold up to that promise. That's exactly what's happening. Stephen A. talking about me, y'all. They said, I'm going to forgive your student loans. Oh, boy. You got my vote. In lip service, preached it multiple times. Promises you could not keep. Or the government couldn't keep as a whole. I know that much. And now look. I still got it. I done paid it off myself. About paid it off myself. I will pay it off myself. It'll be paid off myself before the government do something about that. So that's a for sure.
Yes. I want to say, because you said a lot, and I want to write it down, and I want to go through each of these to the best of my ability.
Sure.
So 1964, Rob, you pulled it up, and I'm glad you said it, because I went and I actually looked at Snopes. Go to Snopes, because I wanted to know, did he actually say that, right? Because this is what we found. I won't read it, but the audience can read it. Can you go a little lower where it shows the whole thing? Okay, we can just show that at the top, and then we'll read the whole thing. Okay, right here. You can do that right there. These boom,
yep.
That's right. They're getting pretty uppity these days, and that's a problem for us. They've got something now they've never had before, the political pull to back up their uppityness. Now we've got to do something about this, and we've got to give them a little something, just enough to quiet them down, not enough to make a difference, and then boom, you know that line, you brought it up, I'll have them voting this way, Democratic, for the next 200 years.
Yes.
You know what Snopes said? Snopes didn't say this.
Yo, I think that is one of the craziest things I've ever heard. Lyndon B. Johnson is shot out for that. I think this is one of the craziest things.
Not right.
I've
Go a little
ever
bit more.
fact
It says
checkers
unproven. And
Yeah.
Snopes is
Literally, they may say it's unproven, all that stuff. That is the craziest thing I've heard in a long time.
rights hero, but also a racist. And if you look at the stuff,
Like, boy, civil rights hero and a racist makes sense. But like they said, you gotta look at the times. You have to look at the time. I think Kennedy was just assassinated. People marching. And they marches looked kind of different to me as well, you know, than the marches we had today. But that's a little. Other than that, they was really marching, like, for real. And they were led by a great leader. You know, this last, I don't think we had just a leader who was leading it. We had BLM pushing the movement, and y'all seen how they turned out. So, you know, at least with this, we had great leaders. You know, Malcolm X, even though he did it differently, he was still a leader at his time. But we had, you know, we had a great leader for that. We had great leaders. It just
about him, how many times he dropped the, N-word and all this other stuff. This guy was not wanting to do what he did with civil rights. No. Credit goes to one man and the community that pushed it. There's a reason why we all have a poster or painting of him in our offices and our walls, and he's admired by everybody. It doesn't matter left, right, center, white, black, Asian, Hispanic. Everybody loves and admires what this man did. One of the greatest movements of all time. He accomplished it in a peaceful way, different than X. He was able to get it done, right? Okay.
Yeah, like I said, he basically said the things that I had just said, but yeah, it was definitely different. And for it to be at that time, it was some real racism going on. You know, we get backhanded racism these days, but that was some real racism going on back in those days. So it's definitely, it was a different period, and for that like they said, give credit to one person just to give credit to him, it's no way. It's not a way. It was some backhanded things that came with that at the same time.
At that time, can you type in Civil Rights March? Just type in Civil Rights March, if you don't mind doing that. Just type in Civil Rights March and go to images, if you could do that. When you type in civil rights, click on that first picture. What do you see a lot of? Look at the way they're dressed.
Yeah.
Just look at the way, go to the bottom left picture, maybe that's got more people in suits. Bottom left.
Bottom left.
Look at the ties. Look at the suits.
Tuxedos.
Look at the tuxedos. Look at the bow ties. Wow. Mm-hmm. Pure class on the way it's being dressed. So Lyndon Johnson, War on Poverty, 1964. Do you know at the time, can you look up when Planned Parenthood came out? Maybe you look at, I don't know the exact year. When did Planned Parenthood come out?
I think it was 71, 72.
70, what year is it? Go a little bit, Singer, whatever her name is, where he started the movement. Anyways, so you look at some of this data, and you see that we went at the time when kids are being born, only 4% of kids in America, if you can pull up the stat, Rob, 4% of kids in America were born, in single-family household. Right. 96%, mom and dad. Yeah. Fast forward, we went from 4% to 41%. Mm-hmm. And by the way, it's even higher for African Americans. Mm-hmm. This is America. This is not African Americans. Percentage of children born out of wedlock, but African American is to the roof. That wasn't the case. You guys were always united, conservative. It's a good community, respectful, Bible Belt. Right. When I was in the Army, and I
want to bring that back. This is crazy. And like I said, this is for the United States, which lets you know that for African American black people, we higher than this. We was definitely higher than this. But it was some policies that had to go on just to make America, like the shift in this is crazy. America had to do something to push us push us towards this went from 4% to 40%. It may be half for the black community. It may be half for the black community. Closer to half, 45, 50. Definitely. So what happened? That's the what happened. Oh, here they trying to say it's the war on poverty begins, which we gonna give you this money as long as there's not no no male in the home. As long as y'all stay poor, we gonna give you this money. The father's not home. Family's not together anymore. Come on now. This is
conservative. It's
America,
a
this is
good
crazy.
Community, respectful, Bible Belt.
Right.
When I was in the Army, and my friends in the Army, I was hanging out when I would go see their families, I was afraid of their mothers. No, seriously.
Right.
Your mother would have talked to me like I'm her son.
Right.
Yeah,
and she would put me in my place. It was a different kind of a culture. Right. That was what I was accustomed to, right? So to me, when they say systemic racism, if you want to give anybody credit, it's Lyndon Johnson, and he succeeded in actually trying to create that kind of an environment. And the reason why he was very creative on the way he did it is he blamed the other side for it and got them, the blacks, to vote Democratic for God knows how many decades until now, where things are slightly changing.
Time.
And I'll wrap up the thoughts here, and I want to get your.
But can I respond to what you just said?
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
I think that. When you mention all of those things, first of all, you've said nothing that I can dispute. Nothing. Because that's just factually correct.
It looks
what you pointed out. And I think that the important thing to bring up when we bring that stuff up is that is exactly the reason why black folks in America have historically over the last 50 plus years had that divide with the Republican Party. Stay with me. What happened is, Patrick, you invite me onto this show and you talk to me. We're having this conversation. You show me facts. I leave this office. I give you no resistance. And then you turn on the TV and I'm like, Patrick Bet-Davis full of it. Look what he brought up. This some racist BS, blah, 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 blah. You'd never want to talk to me again.
He not lying.
It's disingenuous.
It's
not educated. It's not fair.
It's
One
not
of the
right
things
at
that
all.
we have to pay attention to is that there is a Republican Party that can't disguise its resentment towards black America because of what you just pointed out. It's just that we're looking at it differently.
Yeah.
As this black person, when I got to know Republicans and I heard my parents speaking about conservatism and stuff like that, I remember asking my mother one day, I said, you know that fact. How would you feel if you know that you contributed to bringing civil rights legislation to the desk of the presidency to sign in the law, and that was ignored? Because the party that he represented, he made sure they got all the credit for what you played a role in.
And then you get called racist after that. Like, I'm telling you, it is crazy. We need to start doing our own research. I think that's what it's come down to, y'all. We need to start doing our own research. That way we know what's going on. We just don't go by what's told to us. We vote in this side and this side racist when it's obviously clear that this was bipartisan and it was the Republicans who actually, helped push this through. Lyndon B. Johnson did not want to push that through. It seems like to me. Oh yeah, I'm going to do it because I have to. But they about to vote for the next 200 years. Democrat. We going to ruin their homes, ruin their families. And we going to blame it all on the racist Republicans. And now if you go Republican, they going to call your names Coon and Uncle Tom. they got us for nothing. Now, we maybe they probably gave us that then, but now I feel like they got us for nothing. Now, like, hey, just give them a little something to keep them quiet. Give them a black president. They'll stay quiet for a little while. We need to start doing our own research, y'all. I think the time of us just voting just cause, it's over with. It's over with. Both parties, we got to get over that. Republicans, obviously, like it's bipartisan. It was bipartisan. Ain't not as racist as it seems like. And from where he's coming from, if I was to help somebody out, and next thing you know, I'm getting bashed and called and treated all sorts of ways, I wouldn't treat you as good no more neither. So like he said, I would be resentful for you as well. Stephen A. Smith, I think that was, well articulated to the black community on doing your own research and not just going by what we are told to do. I think that was fantastic, and it definitely helped me on my journey. And it just shows me that I have more to learn. It's more I need to research. It's more I need to think about before we vote here. Because we vote soon, y'all. But we had time. We had time to do our due diligence and actually get our wits about us and actually know what we're going to do. Because we not walking in shadow no more. No more. We're going to do our research and we're going to keep up with it now. If you with me, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Man, that was good. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. That's why I like doing this now. Because it gives me a chance to, like I said, I'm learning with y'all. Y'all see me right now learning. Y'all see me right now getting blown away. Like my mind expanding. Oh, I need to do some research. I need to do this. I need to do that, It definitely helps me out. This right here helps me out probably more than it helps you out. Sometimes, which is crazy. I'm trying to get all for y'all. I'm doing it all for y'all. But at the same time, I'm gaining just as much as y'all are gaining. For sure. That is a for sure. Like, it's nonsense. The things I learned. That's why I love doing this, y'all. It's not just some stuff thrown together. It's always lessons learned for me and just growth that comes with this. This journey to becoming the richest Steve in Atlanta is nothing but growth for me specifically. And I hope it's growth for y'all too, because that's what I'm trying to bring to the table. It's growth for us all, understanding for us all. But yeah, if you here for that 7 a.m. crew, make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know y'all in the building. It's 7 a.m. I know some more folks don't woke up, y'all. They ain't make the 6 a.m. crew, but they'll make that 7 a.m. crew. 7 a.m. a little easier to make it to than that 6 a.m. But like I said, we hit 6 a.m. because we got to get it done before we put in the work for the man. We got to get it done before we put in that work for the man.